The wedding was a grand affair. It was held in Indore, a city known for its vibrant life. On May 11, 2025, Raja Raghuvanshi and Sonam tied the knot. Raja, a young businessman of 29, looked forward to a new life. Sonam, at 25, was embarking on her own journey. Their families celebrated with them, showering them with blessings and good wishes. The photographs from that day show smiling faces and bright hopes. It was a classic arranged marriage, a union of two families. No one could have predicted the darkness that lay ahead. It seemed like the perfect start to a beautiful story. Just days after the wedding, the couple planned their honeymoon. Sonam was insistent on visiting Meghalaya, the abode of the clouds. She booked the tickets herself, eager to explore the misty hills of Cherrapunji. Raja, according to his mother, was a bit hesitant. He wanted to wait a little longer before traveling so far. But he gave in to his new wife's excitement. On May 20th, they left for their romantic getaway. They were supposed to create memories that would last a lifetime. Instead, they were walking into a carefully laid trap, a journey from which only one would return. Their initial days in Meghalaya were filled with the magic of the monsoon. They explored the lush green landscapes and the famous living root bridges. They rented a scooter to navigate the winding roads of Sora. They checked into a quaint homestay in Nongriat, a village known for its stunning natural beauty. To any observer, they were just another happy couple, lost in each other and the breathtaking scenery. They took pictures, they laughed, and they shared moments of quiet intimacy. This happiness, however, was a fragile illusion, a beautiful mask hiding a sinister plan that was about to unfold in the most brutal way imaginable. The dream was about to turn into a nightmare. The smiles would soon be replaced with tears, the joy with unbearable sorrow. The honeymoon, a symbol of new beginnings, was destined to become the final chapter of Raja's life. The beautiful hills of Meghalaya were about to witness a crime so cold and calculated that it would shake the entire nation. The love story that had just begun was about to end in a deep, dark gorge. The celebration of a union would soon become a tale of profound betrayal, leaving families shattered and a community in shock. On May 23, 2025, the happy facade began to crumble. Raja and Sonam checked out of their homestay in Nongriat. They were last seen trekking through the dense forests. A local guide later recalled seeing them, but they were not alone. He noticed three unfamiliar men walking with the couple, a detail that seemed insignificant at the time. After that sighting, the couple vanished. Their rented scooter was discovered abandoned near Sorarin on the main road connecting Shillong and Sora. It was a lonely spot, a place where the clouds often roll in, swallowing everything in a thick white mist. It was as if the couple had simply disappeared into the air. Back in Indore, Raja's family grew worried. Days passed with no word from him. His phone was unreachable, as was Sonam's. This was highly unusual for Raja, who always stayed in touch with his mother. Panic began to set in. The family tried contacting their hotel, friends, and anyone they could think of, but there was no news. The silence was deafening and filled with a growing sense of dread. Their joyful son and his new bride had gone on a honeymoon, a trip of a lifetime. Now they were missing in a distant land, a place the family knew little about. The family filed a missing persons report with the Meghalaya police. The authorities launched a search operation, but the terrain was unforgiving. The deep gorges, dense forests, and relentless monsoon rains made the task incredibly difficult. The search teams, including the local police and the National Disaster Response Force, combed the area. They faced steep cliffs and slippery paths. The vast, wild landscape of Cherrapunji, which tourists find so beautiful, became a formidable obstacle. They searched day and night, hoping to find the couple safe and sound, perhaps lost or injured. As the search continued, a sense of hopelessness began to creep in. To aid the ground teams, the police deployed advanced technology. Drones were flown over the vast, inaccessible gorges, their cameras scanning every inch of the rugged landscape. The whirring of the drones cut through the eerie silence of the hills. They provided a bird's-eye view, hoping to spot a clue that human eyes might miss. The nation watched, holding its breath. The story of the missing honeymooners was now front-page news. Everyone prayed for a miracle, but the clouds of Meghalaya held a dark secret. The search reached its heartbreaking conclusion on June 2, 2025. After nearly a week of relentless effort, a drone operator spotted something unusual. It was deep within a gorge near the spectacular Wei Sordong Falls. Rescue teams were immediately dispatched to the treacherous location. They had to rappel down the steep, slippery rock face, fighting against the dense vegetation and the roar of the waterfall. What they found confirmed everyone's worst fears. Lying in the gorge, partially concealed by the undergrowth, was the decomposed body of a man. The beautiful honeymoon had ended in a lonely, desolate grave. The body was identified as that of Gorge Raghuvanshi. The news sent a shockwave of grief through his family in Indore. Their desperate hopes were shattered in an instant. The young businessman who had left home full of life and happiness was gone forever. The place where he was found was remote and difficult to access, suggesting this was no accident. It was a place where a body could remain hidden for a very long time. The police immediately secured the area and began the grim task of recovering Raja's remains and searching for evidence of what had happened in that secluded spot. A post-mortem examination was conducted and the results were chilling. The autopsy report revealed the brutal nature of the crime. Raja had not fallen into the gorge by accident. He had been murdered. The cause of death was 2 fatal injuries to his head, inflicted with a heavy, sharp weapon. As if that wasn't enough, his throat had also been slit. The initial theory of a robbery was supported by the fact that his valuables, including a gold ring, chain, and his wallet, were missing. But the sheer brutality of the attack suggested something more personal, a crime driven by deep-seated rage. In the aftermath of the discovery, a special investigation team was formed to handle the high-profile case. Led by SIT Chief Herbert Pineade Karkongo, the team was tasked with finding the perpetrators and uncovering the truth. The investigation intensified. Forensic teams scoured the area around the gorge. They found several personal items scattered nearby, including a raincoat and parts of a mobile phone. Near the body, they made another crucial discovery: a blood-stained machete, known locally as a dao. It was believed to be the murder weapon, a key piece of evidence that could lead them to the killer. The mystery of the vanishing had now become a hunt for a murderer. While the forensic team worked on the ground, the special investigation team focused on the digital world. They knew that in today's world, no one truly disappears without a trace. They began the painstaking process of analyzing CCTV footage from hotels, shops, and toll booths. They tracked the couple's last known movements, creating a timeline of their journey. The digital breadcrumbs led them from Guwahati, where the couple landed, to Sora. The police also delved into phone records, mapping out the calls and messages sent and received by Raja Sonam, and a new set of numbers that had suddenly become active in the same area at the same time. The phone records provided a major breakthrough. They connected Sonam to 4 other men, all from her home state of Madhya Pradesh. The data showed that these men had traveled to Meghalaya around the same time as the honeymooning couple. Their movements shadowed Raja and Sonam's itinerary with unnerving precision. This was no coincidence. It was a coordinated plan. The police now had names and faces. The investigation shifted from a missing person case to a murder conspiracy, with Raja's own wife Sonam at the center of it. The web of deceit was slowly being untangled by technology. With the evidence mounting against her, Sonam Raghuvanshi was now a fugitive. She had vanished after her husband's murder, leaving a trail of questions behind. The police launched a nationwide manhunt for her and her suspected accomplices. For days she remained off the grid, eluding capture. But the pressure was building. Her face was on every news channel, her name in every newspaper. On June 9th, the manhunt came to a dramatic and unexpected end. A weary and distraught Sonam walked into a roadside dhaba in Ghazipur, Uttar Pradesh, hundreds of miles from the crime scene. She was alone and appeared to be in emotional turmoil. At the dhaba, she made a tearful request. She asked the owner if she could use a phone to call her brother. That phone call was her undoing. Her brother, aware of the ongoing investigation, immediately contacted the police. The authorities acted swiftly. They used GPS data from the phone call to pinpoint her location. They cross-referenced CCTV footage from the dhaba and used voice identification technology to confirm it was indeed Sonam. She surrendered without a fight, her journey as a fugitive over. Her emotional surrender marked a pivotal moment in the case, bringing the prime suspect into custody. Following Sonam's surrender, the police quickly rounded up her alleged accomplices. The net that had been cast wide was now closing in. The 3 men who had traveled with her from Madhya Pradesh were arrested one by one. Their names were Raj Singh Kushwaha, Vishal Singh Chauhan, and Akash Rajput. A 4th man, Anand Kurmi, was apprehended in Meghalaya. Faced with the overwhelming evidence gathered by the SIT, Their defiance crumbled. During interrogation, the men confessed to their roles in the gruesome crime. Their confession painted a chilling picture of a meticulously planned murder, orchestrated by the victim's own wife. The men revealed that Sonam had hired them for a singular, horrific purpose: to kill her husband, Raja. The plan was set in motion long before the wedding vows were exchanged. The honeymoon was never about romance. It was a pretext. It was a way to lure Raja to a remote and unfamiliar place, far from the safety of his home and family. Meghalaya's secluded beauty was chosen as the backdrop for the perfect crime. The men admitted that they had followed the couple, waiting for the right moment to strike. The confession confirmed the police's worst suspicions and turned the tragic story into a chilling tale of cold-blooded betrayal. At the heart of the conspiracy, according to the confession, was Raj Singh Kushwaha. He was just 21 years old and worked in the same office as Sonam. The police investigation uncovered that he and Sonam were not just colleagues, they were lovers. Their affair had been going on for some time, and they allegedly wanted Raja out of the way so they could be together. The other accomplices, Vishal and Akash, were brought in to help execute the plan. They were friends who were promised money for their role in the crime. The motive was becoming clearer. It was a crime of passion and greed. The details of the murder itself were stomach-churning. The accomplices confessed that on May 23rd, they joined Raja and Sonam on a trek near the Wei Soldong Falls. They led him to a secluded spot, away from any prying eyes. There, they ambushed him. They struck him on the head with the dao they had purchased in Guwahati for this very purpose. After he fell, they slit his throat to ensure he was dead. To make it look like a robbery, they took his valuables. Then, they callously threw his body into the deep gorge, hoping the wilderness would conceal their crime forever. The investigation was a masterclass in combining old-fashioned police work with modern technology. The recovery of the murder weapon was a critical piece of the puzzle. The blood-stained dao found near the gorge was sent for forensic analysis, and the tests confirmed that the blood on the blade matched Gorge Raghuvanshi's. The weapon was traced back to a market in Guwahati, where CCTV footage showed the accomplices purchasing it just days before the murder. This physical evidence really corroborated the confessions and provided a direct link between the suspects and the crime. It was, in a way, a silent witness that told a story of brutal, premeditated violence. The primary motive, as pieced together by the police, was the illicit affair between Sonam and her colleague Raj Singh Kushwaha. The arranged marriage to Raja was an obstacle to their relationship. Investigators believed that Sonam never intended to build a life with Raja. From the very beginning, the marriage was a sham, a means to an end. The honeymoon was the final act of a deadly play. While the affair was the central motive, the police were also exploring other angles. The theft of Raja's valuables suggested a secondary motive of financial gain, but the sheer violence pointed towards a crime rooted in passion and a desperate desire to remove an unwanted husband. Sonam's initial story before her surrender was one of innocence and victimhood. She had initially told a version of events where they were attacked by robbers. She claimed that she had managed to escape while the attackers took her husband. She had even feigned injuries to make her story more believable. However, her narrative was full of inconsistencies. Raja's mother, Raghuvanshi, noted that Sonam showed no visible signs of a struggle when she was first contacted. Her lies began to unravel under the scrutiny of the investigation. The digital trail and the confessions of her accomplices exposed her story as a complete fabrication, a desperate attempt to cover up a heinous crime. The police presented a strong case built on a mountain of evidence. City Chief Herbert Pinade-Carkenthorpe stated, "We faced significant challenges due to the terrain and weather, but we achieved a major breakthrough within 7 days." He highlighted the crucial role of CCTV footage, phone data analysis, and forensic science. The combination of witness statements like that of the local guide with the digital evidence created an airtight case against the accused. The lies had been stripped of pen, revealing a cold, calculated plot. The honeymoon horror was not a random act of violence. It was a conspiracy born from a forbidden love. The Raghuvanshi family was plunged into an abyss of unimaginable pain. Their joy over their son's wedding had turned into the deepest sorrow. Raja's mother, Raghuvanshi, was heartbroken and consumed by grief. She recalled her son's reluctance to go on the honeymoon so soon. She remembered Sonam's distant and detached behavior in the days leading up to the wedding. These small details, once dismissed, now seemed like ominous warnings. The family's grief was compounded by a burning sense of betrayal. The woman they had welcomed into their home as a daughter was now accused of being their son's murderer. They demanded justice, calling for the harshest possible punishment for all the accused. In stark contrast to the Raghuvanshi family's grief stood the denial of Sonam's family. They refused to believe that their daughter was capable of such a monstrous act. They painted a picture of Sonam as a victim, not a perpetrator. They publicly claimed that she was innocent and had been framed. They suggested that Sonam herself was a victim of a kidnapping and that the entire story spun by the police was a lie. Their stance created a deep chasm between the two families, who were once joined by marriage. The media was filled with conflicting narratives, one of grief-stricken accusation and the other of desperate denial. The public reaction was intense. The case captured the nation's attention, dominating news headlines and social media discussions. People were horrified by the details that emerged. The idea of a bride allegedly orchestrating her husband's murder on their honeymoon was shocking. It touched on deep-seated fears about the sanctity of marriage and trust. The case became a topic of debate in households across the country, raising questions about arranged marriages, modern relationships, and the dark side of human nature. The public's demand for justice was loud and clear, putting immense pressure on the legal system to ensure a fair and swift trial. The legal battle ahead promises to be long and arduous. With the accused in custody and the police having filed a charge sheet, the case will now move to the courts. Sonam's family has demanded that the investigation be handed over to a federal agency, the Central Bureau of Investigation, claiming they have no faith in the state police's findings. This legal maneuvering suggests a protracted fight. The Raghuvanshi family, on the other hand, has placed their faith in the evidence collected by the Meghalaya police. The stage is set for a courtroom drama that will be followed closely by the entire country, with two families seeking two very different outcomes, one justice, the other vindication. Amid the concrete evidence of murder and conspiracy, a more mysterious and ancient belief surfaced. Rumors and reports began to circulate about a possible astrological conflict between Raja and Sonam. The term Manglik Dosh was whispered in conversations and mentioned in news reports. This is an astrological condition in Hindu culture where the planet Mars, or Mangal, is placed in a certain house of a person's birth chart. It is believed to cause tension, strife, and even danger to the spouse if a Manglik person marries a non-Manglik person. This angle added a layer of cultural complexity to the crime. While the police focused on the affair as the primary motive, the Manglik Dosh theory offered another potential source of marital discord. According to some reports, there were concerns about this astrological incompatibility before the wedding. In many traditional arranged marriages, horoscopes are matched meticulously to ensure compatibility. A significant dosh or flaw like this one can sometimes be a deal-breaker. It is possible that this belief created underlying friction in the relationship from the very start. It could have been a source of anxiety or resentment, contributing to the breakdown of the marriage even before it truly began. This astrological subplot highlights the powerful role that tradition and belief can play in modern Indian society. Even in the 21st century, for many families, these ancient customs are not mere superstitions. They are deeply held beliefs that guide major life decisions, especially marriage. The Raghuvanshi case brought this cultural dynamic into the national spotlight. It raised questions about the pressures individuals face when modern desires clash with traditional expectations. Could a belief in the adverse effects of the stars have played a role in pushing someone towards such a drastic and violent act? It remains a point of speculation. However, it is crucial to separate belief from evidence. The police investigation is rooted in facts, the confessions, the digital trail, and the forensic proof. The affair provides a clear and understandable motive for the crime. The Manglik Dosh angle, while culturally significant, remains in the realm of conjecture. It may have been a contributing factor to the marital tension, or it may be an irrelevant detail that has been sensationalized by the media. The courts will focus on the tangible evidence presented, but for the public trying to make sense of this tragedy, the shadow of the stars adds another bewildering dimension to an already shocking case. The Raja Raghuvanshi case is a story that leaves a lasting scar. It is a chilling reminder of how love can turn to hate and how trust can be betrayed in the most brutal way imaginable. As the legal proceedings begin, the primary question has shifted from what happened to what will justice look like. The evidence against Sonam and her accomplices appears overwhelming. The confessions, the digital footprint, and the forensic links form a strong chain of proof. The prosecution will argue that this was a cold, calculated murder, planned with chilling precision. The fate of the 5 accused now rests in the hands of the judiciary. However, some questions linger in the air, echoing in the misty hills of Meghalaya. Was the affair the only motive, or were there other, deeper issues at play? How could a young woman, just starting a new life, allegedly resort to such a ghastly crime? Sonam's family's insistence on her innocence, despite the evidence, raises the question of whether there is another side to the story that is yet to be told. While unlikely, the defense will probe every piece of evidence, challenge every testimony, and try to create doubt. The full truth, with all its psychological nuances, may never be completely known. The impact of this tragedy extends far beyond the individuals involved. It has left 2 families completely devastated. The Raghuvanshis have lost a son, and their world is shattered by grief and betrayal. The family of Sonam is facing the public shame and the terrifying possibility that their daughter is a killer. The case serves as a dark cautionary tale, a story that will be told and retold to warn about the hidden dangers that can lurk behind smiling faces and happy occasions. It has cast a shadow on the institution of arranged marriage, forcing a conversation about compatibility, communication, and the pressures of tradition. Ultimately, the honeymoon horror is a profound human tragedy. It is a story of a life cut short, of futures destroyed, and of families torn apart by a web of deceit. The beautiful landscapes of Meghalaya, once a symbol of romance for the couple, will forever be associated with this dark event. As the wheels of justice turn, a nation watches, hoping for closure. But for the families at the heart of this storm, the wounds may never fully heal. The case of Raja Raghuvanshi will be remembered as a somber lesson. Sometimes, the greatest dangers do not come from strangers, but from those we are supposed to love and trust the most.